Welcome back, everybody, to When We Feel Like It Daily. It's been a while.
Where am I? I gotta center myself here. You're off the side, but maybe that's just my window. How can I contract this thing? I hate Skype. How do I hate this thing? My
Stick
God.
around, everybody, as we watch as Paul learns how to use a computer. It's
No, it's like I'm trying to. I'm just so people know. I'm experimenting with Skype for Windows 10. It's cute, you know. It's like a child made an app, and here we are using it.
I can't
badly.
At least from here, it looks like maybe your video is higher quality as opposed to your usual potato footage. So maybe there's some value in that.
I was wondering about that. I thought so as well when I saw the video preview.
Yeah. Paul, it's been a while. We had some.
What
travel.
happened? So we have not actually talked in a week on Skype. I mean, on the podcast. I think, right? Because we did this last Wednesday. Did we do it? Something happened last Thursday. I think did you have?
Yeah, I peed out a stone.
Yes. I was like, it wasn't the water heater. It was something else.
Yeah.
All right. So you had kidney stones.
Yeah, that was
and
fun.
Then Friday I was traveling.
Yep. And then on
Monday and Tuesday you were in New York, and you brought the pretend computer with you.
This is a picture of the flight. Before we get there, let's just talk about flying, because we all know how much I don't like flying. And
okay, but to be fair, you didn't actually do a lot of it yesterday.
No, I didn't. And this is like the crux of. So obviously I hate flying, but I think I've determined, one, I don't like flying at night, but whatever. Mm-hmm. Like if I can go to the airport and everything, you just go through security and just get on the plane. It's relatively not that bad. Because when I'm actually like flying, granted, I'm not like happy, but once I'm like actually flying, I'm relatively okay. Like up in the air, cruising, whatever. But when I went to LaGuardia yesterday, my flight was at 1:40, and there's a magic 3-hour window that if after 3 hours you've been sitting on the tarmac, I think Delta or whatever, they have to take you back or give you some money back, because basically you've been a captive hostage for 3 hours. Right. I sat on the tarmac of LaGuardia yesterday for 2 hours, and it was like 52 minutes.
Yikes.
And it got to the point where you could tell that they were scrambling a little bit, because we started driving around other planes on the tarmac, which I didn't know was possible, but it is. And then we just took off. Hell or high water. I mean, you can see in this picture here, it's kind of hard to tell, but here's the airport back here.
Yep.
Here's all the rain and crap that we had to take off in. And
yes. I was going to say, it's funny you mentioned high water, because I think that was the cause of your problem.
Yes. Well, it was originally not supposed to start raining, and if we would have taken off at 1:40 p.m. when we were supposed to, we would have been just fine. We would have been well ahead of the storms, but we pushed back at 1:50 or something like that because the plane was late, and then we were in a line, and no joke, the captain comes on and says, I think there's 45 planes ahead of us. I stopped counting at 32. And we all just kind of went, ugh.
I have never heard a number that big, ever.
Yeah.
There are X number of planes in front of us.
Yep. And you can do simple math that they can't take a plane off every minute. There has to be a certain spacing between because of jet wash and all that. So, which I think is either 3 or 4 minutes. You can do some simple math there, and you can kind of just tell we're not getting out of there anytime soon. And
thanks to 9/11, this wasn't the worst air disaster of 2001. But in the wake of 9/11, there was an airplane crash in Queens. And of course, at the time, everyone was like, holy crap, what if this is terrorism again? But it was the planes were taking off too close to each other. And it was I don't know what you call it, turbulence or whatever. Yeah. And so now planes are spaced further apart for this very reason.
Yep.
So like you said, you can kind of do the math on it. It takes a little, it takes a while.
Yep. And so the fun thing was, we're like 2.5 hours in, and people, I just got a weird battery low indicator on this thing. People on the plane were getting visibly angry because people were flying from New York to Cincinnati for a connection, and they had missed their connection before we had even taken off, and they wanted to go back. I don't blame them. Yeah. But we're sitting like 3 planes back from taking off, and people are like, I want to get off this plane. And so
not what you want to hear on a plane.
Yeah.
Among the many things. We had flown home from Europe since the last time we talked, and it was a nightmare, and it's always a nightmare. My son flew back by himself. I may have discussed this, but he had horrific problems getting home, which is like the last thing you want for a kid.
Yep.
And There must have been some kind of a security thing in Europe because they were pulling everyone aside for extra screening, and they did it 3 times. And I said, I said to my wife, I said, first of all, Matt, just like you kind of do the math. This plane is not taking off on time.
Yep.
And I'm going to guess, best case scenario, we're looking at over an hour delay. And she's like, why don't we just see what happens? So what happened was 90-minute delay. And then it didn't really matter. Honestly, the only dangerous part of that entire trip was me driving home from the airport at midnight, having been awake for 23 hours straight. And we stopped 3 times for coffee. It was awful.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not trying to compete with your story. I guess what I'm trying to say is what you made me think of was what I've thought so many times, and I expressed on this last trip for our trip which is, I don't mind. I like going places. Like, I like being there. The act of travel, and I mean it from the planning to the now we have to leave, and how, what time do we have to leave to get to where we want to go at a certain time, to the stress of that whole thing, to the airport and the delays and the awfulness of security over and over again. Like, the act of travel is so miserable, and so it seems like preventably terrible, and it just it's awful because I like to be places.
Yeah.
But my God, getting there is the worst.
Yeah. I will give, so I've taken that particular flight dozens of times at this point. And I know going to New York City from Cincinnati, it is about an hour and 5 minutes. And on the return trip, because they always take a little bit different route, it's always about an hour 22. When we went home, it was 1 hour and 1 minute. They were booking it coming home, which was convenient. I'm not complaining. That was super great.
Yeah.
I wish they would do that every time. But
so you should have landed 2:30, 2:30, something like that.
Yeah.
And then
it was
time
like 2:45, I think, was the original time. If we left, I think at 1:30.
So you got home like 4:30, something terrible.
Yeah, and I got home about 7:00. Driving from when I drive, that's including driving home from the airport. Like, I was hoping to be home by about 4:30, have dinner with the family and all that kind of stuff. But whatever.
Sure. Well, welcome home.
Thank you, Paul. Should be here until all the way up. Knock on wood. I'm not planning on leaving all the way up until like night. So.
Yeah, I have the same plan. Okay. I have to say, Have
you booked that travel yet there, Paul?
I have not.
Well, your hotel should probably be booked.
The hotel's set.
Yeah.
There's some question about whether my wife is coming and whether we go see my brother. He lives out in Tampa. So I put something in my calendar for yesterday, which I ignored, to book that trip. So I got to get moving on that.
Fantastic.
It's almost, what's it, about 5 weeks away now?
Yeah, I would do it quick.
So you're arriving the Saturday.
I'm actually arriving. Right? Fake news. I'm arriving that I think Friday. So,
Friday.
Yeah. Well, my wife and kid are going to come, and we're going to go. Yeah, we're going to do the same thing we did last year. We're going to take an early flight. We land down there. We get into Orlando like 10:30. Check into the hotel, and then I don't know. We might swim at that pool that's there or something or whatever. And then Saturday we're going to go to Disneyland or whatever, Magic Kingdom for the day, and then you'll arrive on Sunday, and we'll have to figure out what we're going to do for the video or whatever. So you and I could do whatever Sunday. If we have nothing, then I might begrudgingly go back to Disney World.
Well, we should do. We went to Disney last year. I don't mind going to a theme park or something, but maybe we could just mix it up a little.
Yeah, we will.
Epcot, or is Epcot there? Yeah, Epcot or.
Oh, that reminds me of something I need to talk to you about. But reminding
he says with a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, but Paul, I also have terrible news. This is, I know we joke a lot about terrible news, but this is in fact terrible news. Rattle and Hum might be closing.
What?
I know. They were actually going to close, I think, like the end of June.
Why?
Apparently their rent is being jacked up like crazy. And
do you just mean that one place, or
I think just that one? The
East,
West is dead to me at least right now because I don't really care.
Yeah, I know, but I will say West is really close to the bus terminal, which it'd be kind of nice if that was the thing. But I know, like Mary Jo, it's not convenient. Mary Jo goes there because she used to live like 5 seconds away, and now she lives like 10 seconds away. But it was kind of her local place. Is her local place?
Yeah, and so they are. It's on the cusp. We don't know. We will find out. It'll be a sad day.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, terrible news there. Terrible news. Super quick. So obviously I took this guy to New York City. And I'm going to have a full review up on Petri and a video or whatever. Kind of here's what you need to know. This thing is good for running one app at a time. It's really good at doing that.
It's a kiosk computer.
It's for example, when we were doing a Skype video call, I could do that just fine. But if I was trying to browse Twitter, it would lag. If I tried to tweet while doing that, it wasn't unusable, but you would type in and you could see the letters kind of putzing across the screen. And so the end result here is it's a good machine if you know the limitation of you're only running one app at a time. Surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, it handles Edge better than it does Chrome with multiple tabs open. So it actually performs a little bit better in that scenario. Battery life is going to be, I think, the Achilles heel over performance personally. At one point, I got 4 hours of battery life out of this thing, but that was under when I was trying to use it pretty heavily. I think 5 to 5.5 is probably all you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be okay for some of the markets that this thing serves, like home users and so forth. But you're never more than a few feet from a power plug, whatever. Is fast charging is a thing, isn't it? Doesn't it support some form of?
I think so, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah. If you're far away from a wall, it doesn't really matter how fast it charges if you need extra battery life. I do wish, this is one of those times I wish they'd bring back that power cover that they had from the Surface.
Yeah, exactly. 2. Yeah, that would help a lot.
It really would. If you could double the battery life out of this thing, I would feel much better about it. So
I made a crack like this when you were stuck on the plane, and because I knew that was the only computer you brought, and I was like, well, at least you have all that battery life.
Yes.
Like watching a movie, and it's like just enough to like watch half of it.
Yeah, that is the kind of crazy thing is if I took this thing to Seattle, I could kill the whole battery life on that flight to Seattle. No problem. Oh,
it wouldn't last. I wouldn't even make it, I bet. Maybe watching movies, just barely.
Yeah, if you only watch movies. But
I might have hit the space bar. Might.
I'm kind of hoping your battery life runs out here soon.
Wait, is that a euphemism? Anyway,
some other random things here, just because it's whatever. Alexa, oh shoot, stop. That device plus Cortana integration now works for all of you who have been holding out for that one. I still don't honestly see the value of this. Personally, I know I was asking on Twitter, and some people were very defensive of it, saying they're going to use it all the time. To me, it just sounds like a mouthful of
words. Yeah, it's like listening to the British speak. They add too many words. So I've been watching a lot of British TV lately. All right, let's see if this works. Let's say, "Hey, Cortana." Yeah, here you go. I'm gonna put the microphone over next to this so you can hear this because it's unbelievable. Hey, Cortana.
Something went wrong. Try back
I don't know if you caught that, but that's my invoke. It's not invoking anything.
Oh.
It's broken.
I couldn't hear it on my end, but...
She says something like, sorry, that didn't work. Try again later. She's been saying that all day. That's been her thing.
Solid. Well,
that's what I get for unplugging it when I went away.
Yeah. Well, if you've been holding out for that, that is now available, and I'm sure it'll do wonderful things for Cortana usage. Maybe. But I don't know. I still just haven't found a use case where... I guess there's limited use cases where Cortana is better than Amazon's, but
that's the problem. So as a user, you shouldn't have to think this.
Right. I agree.
You know, the point of computers and technology is to make life simpler, right? The end game here should be that I say whatever the name of my assistant is and they do the job, and I don't really care or think about what happens in the background to give me the best possible results. Having to like outthink the thing so that I get what I want.
Right.
It's unsophisticated.
I actually fully agree with that. again, I think about my wife trying to use this thing and trying to explain to her which Sky computer she has to get the information
Now listen,
from.
when you get the weather, you got to ask them to ask the Amazon thing. But when you get like a recipe, make sure you ask, no. Right. If we were having a conversation like this thing's broken. Anyway, the integration's important. This is the first step. I get it. Mm-hmm. Whatever. But this is not ready for people.
I agree. I'm hoping that they will continue to develop this, and it will truly add value to Amazon devices and Windows 10 PCs for that matter. And so we will we'll continue to watch that. But you know what we won't be watching, Paul? And this is hilarious to me. Is apparently Apple has delayed FaceTime group messaging, group calling, until sometime later because
listen, we're all very excited for them to invent group video chat, so I'm sure
we can continue to wait for them to figure this out.
It will be amazing when it comes.
Yeah, and it would also be amazing if you could use that from a computer, but you can't, so
yeah,
I guess you could.
At least not.
Well, I guess you could if you had a Mac, but
I think it works on a Mac.
I'm not going to buy a Mac to use FaceTime group calling, which tens of other apps have. And speaking of other apps, Paul, I'm still very disappointed in Newton going away. I have yet to find a good replacement. The Windows 10 Mail app. Here's the funniest thing about using the stupid Windows 10 Mail app. The keyboard shortcuts are garbage. Perfect example. There's all the ones you would expect, but if you open if you open Mail and you double click an item, and I'm a keyboard shortcut commando, I use that for 99% of everything.
Yeah.
If you open an email and then you hit escape to close it, it works, but it puts the focus back on the inbox selection, not the item in your inbox.
Control Shift Tab. How the frick do I get out of this?
Yeah, it puts the focus outside of the message selection. So let's say you're just hitting down arrow, you hit enter to open an email, and you're like, that's not the one. I hit escape, and if you hit down arrow again, you're not inside the message list, and then you have to use a mouse because it takes 1,700 tabs to get back over it. It's like, guys, come on.
Yeah, no, it's not a good app. I mentioned that I was using it on vacation on the laptop, and it's a little bit better on a smaller screen. But when I got home, I tried, and I just yesterday switched back to what I normally use. It's just it's unusable. But the best way to understand my complaint about this app actually is to load it in a window, and then next to it, sort of, they don't have to be snapped or anything, but so you can see both of them. Load the new Skype app, Skype for Windows 10. And then count the number of different font sizes you see and how the fonts used in the similar UIs, there's a column for whatever it might be, folders in the case of Mail or whatever. Notice that they don't match up at all with what you see in the Skype app. The new Skype app is not sophisticated in its own way. I was just complaining about it, but honestly, it's better designed, if you will, than the Mail app, which is terrible. It's terrible.
Well, the Mail app hasn't really changed in 3 years since it launched. I mean, they've added some random functionality, but they haven't really pushed the envelope, if you will, with it by any means.
They add stupid features like unique among Mail and Calendar. You can have a background picture in the app for some reason. For some reason, we want it in that one app and nowhere else in the system. But it doesn't support message zooming that is persistent. So I can't set a custom. Yeah, yes. I mean, it's goofy how terrible it is,
Right.
And again, you can't criticize anything these days without hearing from someone who's like, "Oh, I don't know, I use it every day. It meets my needs." Yeah, great. But I'm just pointing out specific things it doesn't do, and those things do impact me. I have a 4K display here. I don't want the letters to all be this big. I don't know. It's terrible.
Yeah, the one thing I want to do is be able to turn the reading pane off, which you can kind of do by shrinking the app. But I just like to turn the reading pane off. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But here we are.
It's not good. It's not good.
Here we are. There's other things to talk about, but that's about all the time we got for today. You got anything else, Paul?
No, let me hang up on you again by mistake.
Yeah.
No, not really. I'm just getting back up to speed still.
Yeah. I am totally off on the days. Today feels like a Monday and a Friday at the same time.
Right.
Because I left
all
on
the
Sunday.
crappiness of Monday with none of the goodness of Friday.
Pretty much. And that's why we call it Wednesday. All right, everybody. That wraps it up for today. We'll catch you right back here next time, which should be tomorrow on First Ring Daily.
Oh, there it is.